Thank you all. Everybody ready? So we're here today with a purpose, and a couple things I think need to be said, and I'm sure all of us will express it in our own way. Yesterday was a tragic day for America. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. From a Republican point of view, he was one of the leading voices in the MAGA world. He organized campuses to spread conservatism. On our side of the aisle, we saw him as a great force. I think Democrats, whether they agreed with him or not, understand that this is not the way you have discourse in the country. And we're just here as a group to say America cannot govern itself this way. We all have to speak with one voice and find the person who did this and bring them to justice. Secondly, this is 9/11. I remember where I was at 24 years ago. I'm sure all of us do. I was up here getting ready to go work. I got a call from my office, turned on the TV, saw a plane going to the tower. I thought it was a movie. Turned out not to be a movie. So 24 years later, we remember the victims of 9/11, but I think we're losing the lessons of 9/11 as a nation. 24 years later, Russia has for the second time invaded Ukraine. In 2025, over 1 million people have been wounded or killed in a conflict in the heart of Europe, on the European continent. So containing the bad guys and standing up to them is a lesson we've lost. Looking inward is okay, but you also have to look outside the country. The lessons of 9/11, what goes on in Afghanistan actually could matter to you. That when they're blowing up a statue of Buddha in Afghanistan, maybe as a Christian you're in harm's way here. So I would say that when one country wants to take over another country and exploit the population, rape and murder the people, defy international norms, you should be concerned because it will matter to us. So in the 1990s, Ukraine gave up 1,700 nuclear weapons with a promise their sovereignty would be protected by Russia, the Brits, and the United States. And along comes Putin. In 2014, he invades. In 2022, he invades. And literally over 1 million people have been killed or injured, and millions have been displaced. So I would argue 24 years later, we kind of let our guard down when it comes to people like Putin. So what are we going to do today? We're going to try to create another front against Putin's Russia. We're all united about making people who buy cheap Russian oil, China, India, and Brazil, buy it cheap and prop up Putin's war machine, to think twice about doing it by going after their economies. If you buy cheap Russian oil to prop up Putin's war machine, we're going to create a system where you can be tariffed here. Pick between our economy and cheap Russian oil. So we've brought a lot of attention to that matter. But there's another pressing issue that the world has not talked enough about. Senator Klobuchar was the earliest and leading voice on behalf of the children. Now, how did I know about this? Katie told me that Amy's got a resolution about 19,000, 20,000 children that have been kidnapped by the Russians from Ukrainian families. I said, are you sure about this? And yeah, Amy was right. Katie was right to be concerned. This is 2025. The Russians have invaded Ukraine, and they have kidnapped, we think, 19,546 Ukrainian children away from their families in Ukraine, brought them to Russia in some form, and the teenagers, they're training them to fight their own country. What's the right answer? Do something about it. Get off our ass as a world and make this like unacceptable. So there are, 4 countries under U.S. law that have the designation of being a state sponsor of terrorism. We're here today say you need to add one more. So this legislation if passed, would designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism under U.S. law until they return the children. If you want to vote no, we will make you famous. You need to vote. Thune and Schumer need to bring this bill up soon so we can tell Europe and the rest of the world, follow our lead. What does it matter to be a state sponsor of terrorism under U.S. law? Your economy is radioactive. You do business with Russia at your own peril. We have laws on the books that punish state sponsor of terrorism. It's hard to get on that list. Well, let me tell you, Russia's earned the right to be on this list. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll out our bill today. We're going to ask leaders of both parties to give us a chance to debate this and vote on it. And we want to put in motion right now a process that would lead quickly to Russia being a state sponsor of terrorism, telling everybody in the world who props up Putin, you're running afoul of U.S. law, and we're watching what you're doing, and you're going to pay a heavy price. It's one thing to go after their oil sales. We're doing that. But somebody needs to speak up for the children. We're doing that today. And we're going to have all of our colleagues lend their voice to our cause. And we're going to make Russia, under U.S. law, what they are. Terrorists. This is what terrorists do. They rape, they murder, they kidnap. So I'm looking forward to this debate, as you can tell. I'm looking forward to this vote. And if Russia doesn't want to be a state sponsor of terrorism under U.S. law, return the children. Senator Blumenthal.
All right. I just finished watching this press briefing where Senator Lindsey Graham and a group of other senators demanded that Russia release child hostages. And I've got to say, this one really hit me. First off, let's pause here. Children. We're talking about kids being caught in the middle of one of the ugliest conflicts in modern times. When I heard Graham and his colleagues standing there, making their demand, I couldn't help but think, why is this even something we still have to ask for in 2025? Here's the thing. Politics aside, war aside, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, there should be one universal truth. Children should never be used as pawns in war. And yet, here we are, with senators pleading publicly for their release. Doesn't that strike you as insane? Now, watching Graham, you could tell he wanted this to land with moral weight. And honestly, I agree with the urgency. But here's where my own take comes in. These press conferences always sound powerful in the moment, but how often do they actually move the needle? Do leaders like Putin or any hostile power really change their behavior because a senator stand behind a podium? Or is this more about making sure the American public sees that Washington is doing something? I want to know what you think. Are these statements effective, or are they mostly political theater? Because I'll be real with you, I feel conflicted. On one hand, I'm glad they're calling this out and not staying silent. On the other hand, I worry this kind of demand, without real action behind it, ends up being just words that echo for a day and then disappear. Here's another layer. This isn't just about Russia. It's about setting a standard for the world. If the U.S. doesn't stand firmly against the targeting of children, then what message are we sending globally? Silence would be complicity. But again, how do we make sure it's more than just symbolic outrage? So, my big question for you all, do you believe strong statements like this actually make a difference on the world stage? Or are they just designed to look tough for cameras, while children remain trapped in conflict zones? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one isn't just about politics. It's about basic humanity. And honestly, I think it's a conversation we all need to be having.